G'day and welcome to 2022. Here we are on New Year's Day in the year 22, and what we're going to do today is reveal the #1 food trend for this year, according to Prepared Foods magazine. I'm Dr. Philip Button from the Food Entrepreneurship Academy, and without further ado, the #1 food trend for 2022, according to Prepared Foods magazine, is adaptogens. Adaptogens certainly have become a bit of a buzzword recently, and they're really connected with consumers' thoughts on health and wellness in a very natural way. So, what are they, and what can they do, and have they, are they safe? Have they been around for long and all that sort of thing? Well, it's certainly pretty interesting, really, because a lot of what are considered to be adaptogens have been around for a long time. They're typically used in traditional medicines, like traditional Chinese medicine and other traditional medicine approaches. So, they've got a very long history of use under such circumstances. But in the case of manufactured foods and in the modern era, there's relatively little use, and therefore, as a result, that's why they're certainly in some cases they're in that in-between space of not actually being approved in certain jurisdictions, but they're not disapproved, or it's interesting. They're not allowed, but they're also not disallowed. So just wanted to give you a few definitions from the literature first of all, before we go any further. So I've got something here out of the Botanical Medicine for Women's Health book. And what they actually say, and I'll read this out, what they actually say is that Soviet scientists coined the term adaptogen in 1964. And it describes herbs that increase the body's non-specific resistance and vitality, helping the body to adapt to and defend against the effects of various stressors, and increase work capacity and efficiency and ability to concentrate. So that's one of the key elements of adaptogens, that they're meant to be anti-stress compounds. So, restore homeostasis by putting the body in a more, broadly energetic, balanced state, so that the body is not under stress. And then these authors here go on to say that for a herb to be classified as an adaptogen, it must, and there's 3 points here, show non-specific activity, have a normalizing influence independent of the nature of the pathological state, and lastly, be innocuous and not influence normal body functions more than required. So, some people might say, that these adaptogens, their effects haven't been demonstrated long enough, in depth enough, in terms of scientific practice. And for the most part, or for many of them, that's certainly the case. And that's why they're not actually approved for use in food products, despite their long history, in some cases dating back to antiquity, of their use in traditional medicine. So as a result, some people regard that they're pseudoscience. But the fact of the matter is that they have demonstrated some capability, some capacity in a disease prevention or cure state. And sure, while the jury might be out at the moment, there's a lot of intense research in various adaptogens that's going on around the world. Now, I also wanted to let you know. Uh, Now, this is out of the book Foods and Dietary Supplements in the Prevention and Treatment of Disease in Older Adults. So, what they say is an adaptogen increases the powers of resistance against physical, chemical, or biological noxious agents and has again, a normalizing influence on the body. A number of plants possess adaptogenic activity due to diverse classes of chemical compounds. The plant adaptogens reduce the reactivity of host defense systems and decrease the damaging effects of various stressors due to the increased basal level of mediators involved in the stress response. So, yeah, that's a bit about adaptogens, what they do, what they're classified as, in terms of the various scientific books. Now, just wanted to touch on a bit more, about lion's mane, the lion's mane fungus. So it's interesting, actually, because there's an increased amount of products. And I'm talking about here in Australia and New Zealand, is an increased amount of products which incorporate the lion's mane mushroom. The interesting thing, though, particularly interesting thing, is that it is not an approved ingredient according to FSANZ. So Food Standards Australia and New Zealand, the regulatory body which oversees food standards in Australia and New Zealand. So it's not allowed, but people use it. But in some sort of ways, they are allowed to use it because it is not allowed. So, where does that leave things? Where does that leave you? If you want to include one of these adaptogens, you might even want to include it in your particular product. Well, it's really best to get regulatory advice, from somebody who really knows their game in this sort of space, just to see, exactly what is the current status of the particular adaptogen that you're interested in using, and then you can make an informed choice as to how you use it, how you describe it, because many people are using it, and it's more about, okay, it's not not allowed, so that means you can use it, but it's not approved. So you have to be careful, and you have to make a you can tell people that it has potential for these particular effects, but you can certainly not say make any strong claims about those. Now, what I wanted to show you just over here is a product that here at Food Entrepreneurship Academy we developed in collaboration with this particular food entrepreneur in Brisbane to develop this cacao, which has lion's mane in it. So it's available. The product is available. It's got lion's mane in it, but that particular product is being sold and is available for purchase, but it's got a ingredient in it which is not formally or not actually approved, as several products currently on the market are. So it's just about knowing exactly the status of the ingredient that you want to use, the particular adaptogen, knowing the legal situation around it, knowing the literature, scientific and medical literature, as to the status of the body of information as to what affects and if there's any safety concerns and things like that. And then simply if you want to use it, then simply accepting its use and any risks that come from using it. So there's certainly workarounds in many cases for adaptogens, and consumers seem to really warm to them. They feel it's natural. They can see the benefits, even if they're not solidly backed up by science at the moment. But yeah, that's about adaptogens. How to use them, bit about the background, and it's just a fascinating area of food science at the moment, as to these traditional medical ingredients that are now finding their way into food, and gradually being accepted as approved and allowable ingredients in food products. So thanks very much for listening over the last 5 days, as we've counted down from number 5 to number 1. Finishing with today. It's been an absolute pleasure to discuss and share the top 5 food trends for 2022. And yeah, I encourage you to go and take a look at the other videos where we've gone through each of the other food trends. And yeah, if you love what we do, what we report on, then subscribe to us, and we'd love to have you on board as one of our subscribers. So thanks very much for listening, and I'm Dr. Philip Button from the Food Entrepreneurship Academy, and I look forward to your company very soon at our next video. Take care, stay safe, and have a fabulous 2022. Bye.